What's up?
Hey, don't make me come over there.
What's up?
Unibrow, get it together.
Sabbath peace.
Sabbath peace.
It's another opportunity for us to come together and hear and learn of the word of truth that's given to us by the Most High God. Honor goes to the Father, through the Son, whose name is Yahuah.
You late.
In him lies the only hope for salvation. We know that it is obtained by grace through faith, not of works, lest anyone should boast, and given freely as a gift to all who obey him. We understand that if you do not obey him, it is made manifest or made obvious that you do not believe. In this state, you should expect no good thing from the Most High. However, anything that you do get, whether it be a gift of tongues, a gift of prophecy, or any supernatural experience that you may have, it can and it will be used against you in the day of judgment. With that said, peace to the saints that are in the room, to the saints that couldn't make it, but no peace to the wicked. Only thing we say to them is repent, that they might live. Right? So last week, let's get right to it. Last week, we talked a little bit about Moses, right? And we understood that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, which we call the books of Moses, or the law, the Torah, right? You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you want to put it. You know what I mean? So you have the first 5 books of Moses, and we had to try to understand why Moses wrote those books. And who remembers why? Got to get to Yahuah, but didn't the Most High God command him in the 33rd chapter of Numbers? He said, man, you got to write these things down. And then we talked about how Moses, he had to document, because he had to write these things down, he had to document how the Most High God spoke to the people out of the mountain, right? And when he spoke to the people out of the mountain, the Most High God said out of his own mouth that, man, look, you got to rest on which day? And why was that? Most High God gave him a reason.
God created the heaven and earth in 6 days.
In 6 days he created the heaven and earth, and
The 7th day,
he rested.
he rested.
So now if I'm telling the people that, now I got to explain to the people creation. So that's why you get a Genesis. Then we talked a little bit about the beginning of the Genesis, and just kind of understanding that Genesis is a book of generations. It's a genealogy. So it's giving you fathers and sons, and it's driving you all the way down what we would consider now like a family tree kind of, right? That way we can kind of understand where people came from. So we have those generations, and we started to go through them. We read about Adam. We read about Cain and Abel. We read about Seth. And then we started to go through the genealogy just a little bit, and then we stopped. So now we're going to pick up at the end of the genealogy that we looked at last week, which ended with who? Let's go, Genesis chapter 5. Ended with Noah. Right? That's what we have to pick up today. But we have to understand, again, Moses, everything that's being chosen to be spoken about, Moses chose these things because it makes sense for what he's talking about. So you're going to notice that some of these things are going to be spoken about, and it ties in. Matter of fact, instead of starting at Genesis 5, let's start with Numbers. Let's start with Deuteronomy chapter 2. This is Deuteronomy chapter 2. Give me verse. Let's do Deuteronomy 2. Give me verse maybe 17.
That the Lord spake unto me, saying, You are to pass over through Ar, the coast of Moab, this day. And when you come near over against the children of Ammon, distress them not, nor meddle with them, for I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it to the children of Lot for possession.
So look, I'm not giving you the children of the land of the children of Ammon. You know why? Moses is about to take the children of Israel into the land. Moses ain't taking them, but he's showing them the land, right? And he's telling them, this is everything that you're going to come across. And he's telling them, you are not taking certain land. He said, the children of Ammon has this land, and I've given it to the children of Lot. Right? We're going to learn about all the children of Lot. We're going to have to get through all this in Genesis, right? But no, there is a people that come from Lot. They're Ammonite, or Ammon. Are they Ammonites? Yeah, the Ammonites, right? And the Ammonites have this land. Watch this.
Go in the room. Go play.
That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwelt there in old time, and the Ammonites called them the Zumim.
Right? This was a land of what?
Giants, them Zumim.
And so giants was there from old time, right? But what happened?
A people great and mighty.
Uh-huh.
A people great and many.
Uh-huh.
Tall as the Anakins.
Tall as who?
The Anakins.
The Anakim. Watch this.
But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their land.
So at this old time, the Ammonites, before the Israelites came along, the Ammonites took this land from giants. The Most High God killed the giants and let the Ammonites take this land. Jump over to chapter 3. Give me chapter 3. Give me about verse 8. This is Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 8. A lot of people don't understand why the Most High God said, kill them all. Kill every one of them. Don't leave women, children, don't leave nothing. Kill them all. Watch this.
TJ! Get up here. And when we took at that time out of the hand of the two kings of the Amorites, the land that was on this side of the Jordan, from the river of Arnon unto Mount Hermon, which Hermon the Sidonians called Sirion, and the Amorites called it Shinir. All the cities of the plain, and all Gilead, and all Bashan unto Salca and Edrei, cities of the kingdoms of Og and Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants.
Only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Watch this.
Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it.
That boy had a bed that was 9 cubits. That's like this. Right? That's almost 9 yards. That's how tall that man bed. That's how big he was. Right? A cubit is longer than a foot. So imagine seeing like a 9-foot man. Okay, then now add a couple extra to that. That's what we're dealing with. It's a huge guy. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
And this land which we possessed at that time from Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, and half Mount of Gilead, and the cities thereof gave I unto the Reubenites and to the Gadites.
Right? So now we took the land again from the giants. Notice the theme. There's a whole lot more that we didn't cover, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get to it later, you know what I'm saying, as we get to Deuteronomy. There's a whole lot more there. Let's go to Numbers chapter 13. Give me chapter 13. Start me off at verse 28. We don't have to get the whole thing. This is Numbers chapter 13, verse 28.
Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwelt in the land, and the cities were walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there.
The children of who?
Anak.
The children of Anak. Watch who the children of Anak come from.
The Amalekites dwelt in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are all well able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eats up the inhabitants thereof.
It eats up the inhabitants thereof. Watch this.
And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature.
They are men of great stature. These are big old folks. These are big, tall people. Watch this. They're giants. Watch this.
And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak.
The sons of who?
Anak.
And what else?
Which come of the giants
They come of the giants. So now, that second giant that it looks at, you know what word is there? Nephilim. The same word is only used in one other place in the Bible. Right? It's translated as giants there. Now, we read giants a few times. The only time giants in what we reading came from the word Nephilim this time and one other time. Because these giants that the Most High God gave a commandment to the children of Israel to kill them all. Don't spare anybody, women, children. Nobody get a pass. Everybody got to die. A lot of people don't understand why that happened. That happened because seed was mixed with the giants. And we're about to learn where the giants came from. This is why Moses has to include certain things in what he writes. So now let's go to Genesis chapter 5. It's important to understand because Moses has to guide and navigate people through this stuff. If you know the history, you won't understand. He put the history, he didn't have to go all the way back in Genesis and document all this stuff, but he put it there so that we would have context of who the children of Ammon is. Who is the children of Anak? Who are the Nephilim? Is this? What are we talking about? Right? This is Genesis chapter 5. What's the last couple verses there?
31 the last. 32 the last.
Give me verse 30. This is Genesis chapter 5, verse 30.
And Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years. He begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech.
Hey! Y'all be quiet.
And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died.
Uh-huh.
And Noah was 500 years old. And Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Right? So now you have Noah introduced on the scene. What question do you have? So Noah's been introduced onto the scene, right? Let's go to chapter 6 and watch how chapter 6 kick off. So remember, that's the genealogy. Remember how we talked about how Genesis flows? It gives you a genealogy first. It introduces the character or the person that it wants to tell you about, and then it goes into a narrative about that person to give you more. Then from there, you have another introduction and then go into another genealogy. So now we're going into a narrative about Noah, right? It's Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. Watch the book.
It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them.
Look, so people began to multiply, and people had daughters. And what happened?
That the sons of God saw the daughters of men that were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
So he's saying it came to pass that when this started happening, when do you think people began to multiply and they started having daughters? When did that happen?
After people started multiplying and having daughters.
At the very beginning. We read at the very beginning that Adam and Eve had daughters. Right? Book said he had sons and daughters. So it's saying at the beginning, when sons and when daughters start coming about, the sons of God, which we know to be what? Celestial beings, right? What we consider angels, right? So the sons of God start coming down, and they start laying and marrying the daughters of men. Watch this.
And the Lord said, my fear shall not always strive with men, but that he also...
Did we skip something?
No.
Read again from me, sons of God.
That the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my fear shall not always strive with man, for that he also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days.
There were giants, and the word there is Nephilim, the same one that we read before. That's the only two places. Any other time you read giants, it's coming from a different Hebrew word. But these two times, the one that we read before in Numbers, and this one right here is talking about the Nephilim, right? The Nephilim is something very specific. The first time it's used is right here in what we're talking about. The Nephilim are the offspring of what we consider angels, celestial beings, that laid with and married the daughters of men. And they created something that was unnatural called Nephilim, right? What we would consider giants. Let's hear about it.
There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they will bear children to them.
Right?
The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown.
So one thing to notice, it says, in those days and also after that. Right? A lot of people don't notice that it says that. So that means that even after the flood, right, some of this stuff still continued to happen. Right? Let's keep going.
And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth,
Right.
both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repents me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation. And Noah walked with God. Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So Noah had 3 sons. Shem, Ham. So now it already told us that in the genealogy. Right? In chapter 5 it already told us this, and now it's telling us again in Genesis chapter 6. When people look at that and they see that in Genesis 1 and again in Genesis chapter 2, they call it 2 different events. Right? But you can see the same thing happens throughout Genesis. It's the same thing. It gives you a genealogy and a narrative. So here's the narrative. Keep going. He had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me. He said, the end of all flesh has come before me. For the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. He said, make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. Right? So an ark is like a big box in this sense. The ark is a big box, right? And he's going to use it just like they use a ship. You're going to use it just like you use a ship. So he's telling them to build this as a means of protection of what's about to come. Watch this. In this fashion which you shall make of it, length of the ark shall be 300 cubits. The breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shall you make to the ark, and in a cubit shall you finish it above. And the door of the ark shall you set in the side thereof. Lower, second, and third story shall you make it. So you have 3 stories, you have a door, and this thing is really, 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 really big, right? Watch this. Keep going. And behold, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth. Right? So he said, Most High God is telling them, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth. Right? Watch this. Keep going. To destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with you will I establish my covenant, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons, and your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Right? So this is one of the first images that we get of Yahuah, right? He's saying, hey, put yourself inside of this ark, build this ark, right? Once you get inside of this ark, it's going to protect you from the flood that's used to kill all flesh, right? Which is exactly what Yahuah wants us to do. He wants us to die to the flesh, right? So he said, hey, you're going to be in here, and everything I put in there with you is going to be protected. But everything else got to die. So in the same way, if we stand with Yahuah, we protect it. But everything else about us got to die. Right? Keep going. And every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort, shall you bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Of fowls after their male and female. Why you didn't mention the trans-armed genders? Foolish. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of creeping things of the earth after their kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. That's right. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it unto thee. Right. It shall be for food for thee and for them. And what was food at this point? That would be vegetables, things that grow from the ground. Things that grow from the ground. At this point, we've never seen or heard anything out of the book that we eat anything other than what grows from the ground. So that's why he says bring all the animals and then bring all food, all manners of food. Because the animals got to eat and we got to eat. Right? Keep going. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so he did.
That boy out like a light.
Hey, y'all, I'm laughing at sun on time.
And the Lord said unto Noah, Come down in all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast you shall take by.
So now he already told them you take the animals 2 by 2, male and female. But then he said of every clean beast you gonna do what?
Of every clean beast you shall take to thee by 7, the male and its female.
Right? Now you gotta bring them in by 7, right? So now it's important to understand. We go back. You remember Cain and Abel? Right? You remember Cain, what did Cain bring?
Cain brought the fruit of the ground.
He brought the fruit of the ground. But Abel brought his sheep. The Most High God had respect onto what Abel did. And then look, now the Most High God said, I like what Abel did so much, bring a couple extra of the clean animals. So remember, at this point, there's already an understanding of which animals were clean and unclean. Right? The same thing that we kind of understand is clean and unclean according to our law. Because the Most High God calls them clean here, it's safe to assume that what wasn't understood as a clean and unclean animal is similar to what we understand as a clean and unclean animal. So where do you think Moses got it from? Right? Keep going, watch this.
The fowls also of the air by 7, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from the face of the earth.
Okay.
And Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood.
Okay.
Of clean beasts and of beasts are not clean, and of fowls and of everything that creeps upon the earth, there went in two and two unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah.
Okay.
You should have left roaches off that thing. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 7th day of the month, the same day were all the foundations of the great deep broken up.
The what? The foundations of what?
The great deep broken up.
What we got? Grab Genesis chapter 2. Maybe I want what, verse 9? You might have to help me out a little bit. I want where he said that the ground watered itself. That's that big. That's that big. That's that big. That's that big. That's that big.
Out of the ground made the Lord God grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for the food, tree of life in the midst of the garden of good and evil.
Now I want to maybe a little further up. On where he said the water, he had it was nobody to till the ground. It might be in the very beginning actually. Give me verse 5. It's Genesis chapter 2, verse 5. It's probably in the very beginning.
Yeah. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God has not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth.
There went up what?
A mist from the earth.
So there was a small little, you know what I'm saying, think of like a sprinkler system all around. It's just water underneath the earth somehow, and it pushes itself up, and it mists, and that water ground. Right? Now jump back over to Genesis chapter 6. Because somewhere, something went wrong. Watch this.
In Noah's life, Noah's life in the 2nd month, the 7th day of the month, the same day were all the foundations of the great deep broken up.
Right? So all the foundations of the great deep were broken up. It's a lot here, right? But if you start at Genesis 1, it told you the deep. What was it talking about in Genesis chapter 1? When it talked about the deep. What was it talking about?
The waters, right?
It was talking about water. And then what happened next? When it comes to the water, what happened?
Separated.
the land from the water were separated. Everything was water. And there was land, but everything was water, which means the water covered the land. It's important to know that. And when it started out, the land was underneath the water. So the earth was flooded when it started. Then the Most High God separated the land from the water. Right? Then he tells you that there's water that comes from underneath. That means there's water underneath the ground. Now he's telling you somehow the foundations of the great deep, in other words, the foundations of the water that's underneath the earth, somehow got broken up. And then what happened?
And the heavens were open.
Let's see.
And the windows of the heavens were open.
So now you got water coming from underneath, and then you got water coming from above. So what else happened in Genesis chapter 1? Genesis chapter 1, when did we learn about waters coming from above? Because he put another separation. He separated the land from the water on earth. Then he made another separation. Who remembers?
Separated the firmament.
The firmament, right? And he put waters over the firmament. And the firmament is what we look at as heaven or space, right? The sky, right? Outer space, all that. He put waters over the firmament, and he put waters under the firmament. The waters under the firmament was the waters on earth. The waters over the firmament was the waters in the sky, right? So now we have water coming from the heavens, and it's the windows of heaven. That means it's just pouring down. And then you got water that's coming from underneath, straight up from underneath. Watch this.
And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights.
Uh-huh.
And the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with him into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, and every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark of 2 and 2 of all flesh, with the breath of life.
That's right.
And they that were in it went in, male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and brake up the ark, and bear up the ark. And it was lifted up above the earth.
So now the waters got so high that it lifted up the ark. And it lifted up the ark above the earth. Keep going.
And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth. And the ark went up on the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowls, of cattle, of beasts, of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, creeping things, and the fowl of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. Right? So all of Noah's daddies, right? Everybody that was still living at that time. Right? And imagine how huge earth would have had to been. Because you had people that was living to be 600, 700, 800, 900 years old. So people were living for an extremely long time. Right now, the population only stays where it is because people die. Right? Your life expectancy, you only live 70 years old, so you go out, another one come in. Imagine another one coming in and you not going out. And another one coming in and you not going out. And another one coming in and you not going out. And you have all these people. It would grow really, really quickly. Right? So that's what we deal. We dealing with a full, at this point, absolutely full earth. Right? Packed out. Probably way more people than what it is now. Right? People all over the place. Most High God killed every last one. Along with that. Right? Why are you going? And they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark.
Right? So everybody that was in the ark, they remained alive. It's important to understand that the flood covered the mountains. That means the water was high enough to cover the mountains. You've never seen nothing like that. You've never seen that much rain. You've never seen a flood like that. This is not like what some of these people try to compromise. It's just a local flood. It was just a flood in the area. And the people, their small brains, they were primitive, and they thought that this was a worldwide flood, because for them, that area was their world. Shut up. You never see no water cover a mountain. And it's going to tell you what mountain they land on. They're going to land on what mountain? Mount Ararat. You know where that is? We talk about this place a lot. No, baby girl. That's in Turkey. Right? That's in Turkey. Mount Ararat. That's one of the biggest mountains in the darn world. So you going to tell me it covered one of the biggest mountains in the whole world? How it didn't cover the world? You know how many places the water can go from there? So you tell me it's enough water where it can't go nowhere, but it got to keep building up, and it didn't cover the rest of the world? You lost your darn mind. People make up stuff. That's because they don't read the book. I ain't making no compromise with nobody. The book said it was the flood. That's it. That got that. I don't care what your signs say. I'll bet on mine. Let's bet on yours. Y'all can't get no signs right anyway. Y'all tell all types of lies. You're trying to tell me, how you gonna try to tell me somebody, how you gonna tell me it's science and you gonna tell me somebody came from a monkey? You talking about science. How is that science? I told somebody that, I was like, listen, they're like, I thought you said you believe in evolution. I'm like, I do believe in evolution. They're like, so what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, I believe that, like, if I got a Rottweiler right now, and she's a long-haired Rottweiler, which is rare. You know what I'm saying? Most Rottweilers short hair. I got a long-haired Rottweiler. I believe personally that if I mate her with another Rottweiler that got short hair, and they have 6 babies, and I kill all the babies that don't got short hair. I mean, I kill the babies that don't got long hair, and they only leave the long hair. And I take those and make those another, and I kill off everything that don't got long hair. And keep doing that, I believe that Rottweilers will evolve to be long-haired Rottweilers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's evolution. I believe that. Like, I believe that you can take the biggest, baddest wolf. Over time, turn that thing to a darn poodle. You know what I'm saying? By making it the right way. I believe that. I believe that you can turn a dog to another dog. Right? What I don't believe in is that you can take a monkey and turn it into a human. That you can take a banana and all of a sudden, by putting the right seed in it, that thing become a darn donkey. You say. Right? This is just basic book. It's not science if we talk. Science is what? What is science, TJ? What did they teach you what science was in school? Why are you on your darn phone, boy?
Science teacher quit.
Your science. So what they teach you in science?
Failed.
Okay, but what is science?
I don't know what science is.
What's the definition of science? You on your phone? Look it up. Google it.
We conveniently hiding that thing by that.
Yeah, you see you slick. Like we ain't done. You know what I'm saying? It's just a year. What you talking about, boy? What's wrong with you? Tell me what it says.
The intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment.
Through observation and what?
Experiment.
So that's science.
Now put your phone away.
If you do it through observation, that means I'm looking. And experiment, that means I'm introducing stimulus to make things change. Right? I say, okay, I have a dog. This is what they taught me. I don't know what they teach y'all in school nowadays. This is what they taught me in school. They say in a science project, you know what you got to start with? You got to have a hypothesis. You know what I mean? You got to start this thing off with, I believe that these dogs will have long hair if mated, you know what I'm saying, in this particular way over this amount of time, right? You got to start with your hypothesis. And then you know what you do? You introduce stimulus to prove or disprove your hypothesis. So you say, okay, I got the dogs, you do it, and you observe, and you document, and you do everything, and you experiment, and you observe, and you experiment, and you observe, and you experiment, and you observe. And at the end of it, you have that theory that you started off with, that scientific theory that you started off with, that can be supported by the evidence or not. And that's a study, that's science. Give me one study or science, give me one observation or experimentation that shows you that a darn light beam turned into algae. That a darn light beam turned into little fish in the water. That a fish just got up. Show me where the Tyrannosaurus Rex turned into a mockingbird. That's the type of foolishness they be trying to tell people. Or a monkey just darn drug his knuckles a couple steps, then all of a sudden, 6 steps later, well, he's a black man. These rainbow try to teach us this foolishness. But this is what they give us the definition of science, don't they? We just read it. How is it science if we can't observe it or test it? If you can't reproduce it, how is it science? But they tell us how long the earth been here? Billions. Excuse me, scientists, I can't observe that. That's not science. That is faith. And this is how they trick people. It's okay to have faith in whatever you want to have faith in. It's okay to be like, you know what, I believe this. But call it what it is, and then don't make these Christians feel like they don't believe, these Christians believe all types of wild stuff that ain't written nowhere, ain't got no evidence for it. Cool. Y'all in the same book as the Christians then. Y'all believe people came from monkeys. That's just as crazy as believing that God loves everybody. So if you ask me, these scientists is a bunch of Christians. I can observe and experiment with that. That's science.
That's just happening.
These people just make a fool out of us. They try to come up with all this stuff and it don't make sense. When you look at the book, it makes sense. It makes sense why you get a Grand Canyon. How you get a big old canyon that got clear watermarks that's going through it. Where did all that water come from? What water filled up this whole canyon? Where did it go? And last, there was a flood. But their explanation is, well, there was water here. Billions and billions. Because that's how much water would have had to been there. It would have took billions and billions of years for that water to drain from that flood. But if you look at the markers, you know what they say? That's actually consistent with just like a river. Like it all happened all at once really, really quickly. Can't explain it, huh? Book can.
Yeah, some mountains, like, some places, it's really little. They like look like they were smooth.
Yeah. You can even see watermarks in some mountains. That ain't that crazy? You can see the water. You look at some of these mountains, you can see the watermarks still. How did that happen? What was water doing way up there? You know what they call it instead, though? Guess what they call it? Ice Age. Oh, yeah. No, that was a period. Very, 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 very cool. Anything but they accept what the book says. Keep going, let's see.
And the waters prevailed upon the earth in 150 days.
Mm-hmm.
And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made the wind to pass over the earth and the waters assuage. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained.
Mm-hmm.
The waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of 150 days, the waters were abated. The ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month.
Where?
Upon the mountains of Ararat.
Right? So right there in Turkey. Don't try to tell me it didn't flood the whole earth. I ain't listening to y'all. I listen to my darn God. Right? So he said in the 7th month and when?
In the 7th month of the 17th day of the month.
When was that? What would that land us in?
That was
7th month on the 17th day of the month. Where would that land us?
Would that be
Baby?
or Ingathering?
Huh?
Atonement or Ingathering?
17th day. When's atonement?
I know it's on the 7th month.
7th month? What day? When's atonement? Day of atonement. 7th month what?
I don't know. 16th, 17th.
Goodness.
10th day.
It was the 10th day, right? So the 17th day, you know you got 3 holidays in the seventh day of the month. I mean the 7th month. It's going to be the first day of the month. It's going to be the day of trumpets. The 10th day of the month is going to be atonement. And then, and then on what day?
17th.
The 15th day is going to be the ingathering, and it's going to last for 8 days, right? So the 17th day, I ain't listening. And so the 17th would have put you within the week of ingathering, right? It's important that we know this because what's happening right now?
Gathering.
The people and the animals all got gathered into one place.
Yeah. And it's ingathering. That's a tabernacle, right?
That's tabernacle.
Okay.
Right? Watch this.
Yeah, that's after Yahuah shall all flesh. You know what I'm saying?
To bring everybody together. Exactly what we're looking at. All this, everything that we read in the book is a picture of what Yahuah is going to do for us. Or do to us, however you look at it. Right? Keep going.
And the waters return. I forgot where I was.
You should have been Mount Ararat.
Yeah. Okay. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen.
So now, the top of the mountains is only visible only after the water starts to abate. You know what I'm saying? In other words, it starts to decrease. Watch this. Keep going.
It came to pass at the end of the 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made, and he sent forth a raven.
He opened up the window of the ark which he had made, and he sent forth a what?
A raven.
He sent forth a raven, and watch what the raven did.
Which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth.
Oh, we got right there. Go to Job chapter 1, verse 6, I think. This is Job chapter 1, verse 6. We're going to get to Job. But when this raven goes out and it goes to and fro, I want y'all to understand where this language is also used. Most High God trying to tell us something right now.
Verse what?
This is verse 6, yeah. Job chapter 1, verse 6. Watch what the book says.
There was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and he came also.
Right? So these are angels, or what we would consider angels. They presented themselves to the Most High God, and then after that, Satan came and presented himself along with them.
Get off your phone.
What? Oh.
Okay, well, give us enough. And the Lord said unto Satan, Where comest thou? Whence comest thou? And Satan answered,
Watch what Satan say.
The Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Right? So now go back to Genesis. Genesis what, 7?
8.
Genesis, oh, we already in 8. It's Genesis chapter 8, what verse?
7.
It's Genesis chapter 8, verse 7. So now we saw Satan was just walking up and down, to and fro, walking up and down. Watch what Noah let out first.
And he sent forth a raven which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth.
Right? So now we look at it, this raven was let out this window. The first thing, Noah opened the window, he let out the raven first, and it goes to and fro. So what came first? Adam or the serpent? The serpent, right? Because on day 6, the first thing Most High God said he created was the animals. And then he created man. Right? So the serpent came first. The devil was first. The devil was a direct creation of the Most High God. Right? He came first along with the other celestial beings. Then watch what happens next.
Also So he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground.
So now, when Yahuah met John the Baptist, right? What happened?
The spirit of heaven opened up.
John the Baptist baptized him, and the spirit came down looking like a dove, and it rested on him. Right? So now this dove is let out next. And what happened with the dove? Let's see.
But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth.
Watch this.
Then he put forth his hand and took her, and pulled her into him into the ark.
So he sent the dove out. The dove came back, because the dove was like, man, ain't nothing out there for me. The raven just going back and forth until the water dried up. The dove went out there and was like, nah, ain't nothing out there for me. The dove came back to him. Watch this again.
And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark.
So he sent the dove again. Watch what happened this time.
And the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth.
Yep.
And
so now, the second time he sent out the dove came back, and it came back with an olive branch. What was it?
Olive leaf.
An olive leaf. So now Noah was like, okay, well, I know at least a tree is out there that the dove could get to. It brought it back to me. Okay, and what happened next?
And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more.
Right, so then the third time he sent the dove, and it didn't come back. That let Noah know that now it might be good for us to come out of the ark. There might be dry land, because he knows that the dove would have came back to something dry if it wasn't nothing else out there. Right? But at the same time, just like when we look at the raven, and the raven represents Satan, you look at this dove, this represents the Spirit of God. The Most High God put his Spirit in the earth 3 times, right? As it relates to man, right? The first time, he put the Spirit in who?
Adam.
Right? So the first time he put the Spirit in Adam. All of us got spirits in us, right? But our spirit didn't come directly from God, right? Ours is an offshoot from Adam. Adam, he lays with Eve. They have babies. We have babies, and all of a sudden we here, right? None of us was directly created from the Most High God. So the first time he put the Spirit out, it was Adam. That ends up coming back to him because every time a man dies, the Spirit goes back to the Most High God. So the Spirit that he gave to Adam came back to him. Then there was another man, right, that he put his Spirit in. Who was that? Yahuah. When he put his Spirit in Yahuah, he put his Spirit, Yahuah goes, and then what happens to Yahuah?
He went up to the Father.
What happened before that?
Before that, he gave his Spirit to him.
He died, and his Spirit went with the Father. That's why the dove came back. But then at the same time, he got resurrected and then went to be with the Father at his right hand. That's why the second time the dove came back with the olive leaf. Right? Then, in the future, we are looking for the third time that the Most High God is going to give his Spirit to man. And the reason why the doves don't come back is because this last time, man will live forever. Right? So this is what this is representing. The dove going back out after the world was completely destroyed. He sent the dove out 3 times. The third time, that dove don't come back. Just like the third time, the Most High God is going to put the Spirit with the Most High, put his Spirit in man. Man is not going to get that Spirit up no more because man will live forever. Right? He said, we like God. All right, keep going. What else we got?
And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month of the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Bring forth with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, both of fowls, cattle, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth.
So he said, be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Watch this.
Noah went forth, and his son's wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creeps upon the earth after their kinds went forth out of the ark. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took of
He built what?
An altar unto the Lord.
Okay.
And took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl.
And what did he do? Remember, he brought all those extra clean animals. And what did he do with them?
He offered burnt offerings on the altar.
After that, he offered burnt offerings on the altar. That reminds us of who? Reminds us of Abel, right? Abel is the one who sacrificed animals. This is why the Most High God had respect onto it, because the Most High God was like, I'm going to use this. So now Noah, he said, I'm going to do the same thing, and he offered them when he saw the clean animals. Keep going.
And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake.
That's right.
For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease.
So now this is when it stops. You remember the curse that Adam had? Adam had the curse like, man, this is going to be hard trying to till the ground.
No.
Right? Most High God just said, okay, from now on, all of these is going to go through. Right? And it's going to rain. What Adam was dealing with was different from anything that we experience now. Right? This is light work what we experience now. What he said before, stuff was all out of whack. It might not even rain. You know, it just might not even happen. You can't count on the seasons back then. Right? He said, okay, from now on, I got you. I ain't going to do y'all like that. Read it again. Watch this.
And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not.
That's right. Keep going.
And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth.
He said, be still fruitful, multiply, and what was that last one?
Replenish the earth.
Guess what that, if you look at the Hebrew word, guess what that's really saying? When it says replenish the earth. It's saying fill the earth. In other words, spread out. Right? Go out and fill this thing. It's important. We're not going to get to it today, but it's important. That's the commandment that he gave to Noah. Because we're going to talk about the Tower of Babel next week.
That'd be crazy to step out of something knowing that y'all don't own good people.
Yeah, but you got a bunch of these animals around. Thank you. You know, it doesn't matter how we thank you. We've been sitting there around these boys for months. Good gracious. Now you just gotta step out and make it happen. Like it's all yours. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta make it happen. Do a little rap. You know what I'm talking about? Let's see.
And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moves upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hands are they delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you.
Everything that lives and moves shall be what?
Meat for you.
It shall be food for you. So this is when people started eating animals. Before this, the only food that we had was plants. So then, he put it out there. He said, listen, everything that moves and breathes and all these animals, that thing is food for you. Did he say only the clean animals?
Every moving thing that lives.
Clean animals existed, didn't they? We just got done talking about clean animals. Most High God was very careful to separate, hey, the clean animals, make sure you only get 7 of them. I mean, the clean animals, make sure you get 7 of them. Every other animal, you just take it 2 by 2. That's book. He knew to separate that. Then Noah knew that, oh, let me get clean animals and make this sacrifice. All these things, we knew these things would happen, right? And all of a sudden, he said, oh yeah, everything that moves, that's food for you. Why he didn't separate clean? Because these people wasn't Israelites. He didn't give this thing to everybody.
You only have I know.
We gonna learn it. Most High God ain't made no mistake. These Israelites trying to push all this stuff in these. Leave these Gentiles alone. Let these people eat what they gonna eat. We only here. I just want, you know what I'm saying? Just give me a little, give me a little bit of land. Mess around how all these people trying to take all the darn land. They won't leave the land for us.
But they don't even like lamb. That's like
Oh, they want that damn. What's it called? The ham hock. You know what I'm saying? It's like a big old ham. You ever seen a ham steak? I'm like, what in the world?
that ain't sound, bro.
These people love them. I was looking at this article, and it was like, you know what I'm saying? It caught my attention because it had a big old red lobster, and they drew an arrow to it, and then a cockroach on the other side. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, why is it gross? You know what I'm saying? But it's one of these big popular food pages. So I was surprised, like, y'all shooting down these people. Lobster, you know these people serious about their darn food. I was like, let me read it. That boy spent the whole time tearing their butt up about lobster and shrimp and all that. And some of the points I made. Like, you do all this work. You crack it and frickin' see it, and you twist the thing and do this and do that, and you got to body slam that thing on the plate. You get that thing a little bit of butter, and you get a little piece of meat this darn big. This darn big, you get a little piece of meat, and then eat it, and then you got to do that thing again. I was like, oh, you can't, listen, just based off of the principle, you couldn't get me to eat no darn lobster. Somebody got to break that thing open for me and just lay them out on my plate, 'cause I'm not going through all that for a little, you know what I mean? You got a little cotton ball work. That thing look like it tastes like cotton. What it tastes like, you'll get that. What it tastes like?
First of all I can do that.
Ain't nobody even know I'm talking about your wife. Look.
No matter.
I was talking about your wife. Let's keep going. So you see the book, it offers all animals for humans to eat at this point. This is the first time it happened, right?
Even as the green herb have I given you all things.
So look, even as the green, so just like I gave you the plant, even as the plant, I've given you meat, right? And he said it again, all things, right? He could have said just the clean animals right here, but he didn't. God ain't make no mistake. Watch this.
But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. Surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man.
Right?
At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
Right? So you can't eat anything that's still living. You have to kill it first and cook it. You can't eat the blood. You can't eat living blood out of anybody. You know what I'm saying? You got to kill it, get rid of the blood, then you can eat it. Right? Then he said on top of that, can't nobody kill nobody. Why is he telling us that? Because Cain killed Abel, and he just told us that the world was filled with violence. Why would the world be filled with violence? We read this last week. Why would the world be filled with violence? It's all connected.
No, every.
The sons of men lay with the daughters of
No.
The sons of God lay with the daughters of men.
No. Last week we read it. What happened to Cain after he killed Abel?
People was cursed. Well, he got marked.
He got marked. And the Most High God put a curse on him that said what?
Every.
He's gonna be a vagabond.
And then he said, this is too much. And what happened after that?
Yeah, they gonna kill him.
And then what happened? What did the Most High God do about it?
The mark is
anyone that kills him, okay, what?
sevenfold.
Yeah.
Sevenfold. So now, Cain killed somebody. He a mark. I'm about to kill him. Right? What's going to happen to me now? Somebody got to kill me. What's going to happen to them? So you got this chain reaction of people killing. You even got one of Cain's sons that said, listen, I was just trying to protect. I killed somebody in self-defense, the man said. Right? He said, I killed to my hurt. In other words, he's trying to hurt me. I'm trying to get away. I hit him with one of these, chopped off his head, ooh. You know what I'm saying? He is like, listen, if Cain got a mark on him and say it's 7 times, it's going to be 7. Was it 77?
70 times 7, something like that.
Yeah, it might be 70 times 7. You know, it's going to be 77 times for me. You know what I'm talking about? That's how he's looking at it. So that's how it was. This thing, it became a chain reaction. It's just, you kill, okay, well, you got to die. Okay, well, you got to die. Okay, well, you got to die. And everybody just killing everybody. So there was a ton of violence on earth. That's one thing about the movie, y'all that you remember the latest Noah movie? It's the latest Noah movie. That was one thing that they got right. Because they was out there trying to get everybody, trying to kill everybody. And I'm like, well, that's consistent. A lot of people are like, oh, the Bible don't say that. No, you wouldn't read it close enough. Listen, when these white folks get it right, I tell them they got it right. These Christians got it right when they want to eat pork. It's nasty, but they got it right. You a darn Gentile. You ain't got to know this book. Now, if you're a Hebrew and you think you're a Christian, I got something to say. But you got these white Christians, Calvary, Chapel, you know what I'm saying, all that stuff. You eat your darn pork. Ain't nobody talking to you. I ain't mad at you for eating no darn pork. You're supposed to eat pork. That's what you're supposed to eat. You're supposed to be cracking open the lobster, spending 6 minutes to get a little piece of meat. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're a Hebrew, you're supposed to be doing something different. They ain't coming from your country. You're supposed to be doing something a little different. All right, keep going. Watch this.
Whosoever sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And you be fruitful and multiply, bring forth unto me in the earth and multiply therein. God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you.
Yeah, I establish my covenant, my agreement, my contract with you and your seed after you. It starts with you and your seed after you. Watch this.
So with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of the beasts of the earth with you, from all that goes out into the ark, out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you.
All right,
Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth.
All right, so the covenant was made with all the animals as well. He said, I will never flood the earth and cut off all flesh as a result of flooding the earth again. Right? Watch this.
And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make with me and you.
So he said, this is the sign.
And every living creature that is with you for perpetual generation. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
Right? So look at Azariah's shirt. That's a depiction of a rainbow. That's what he's talking about. He said, I'm going to put this rainbow in the cloud so that every time when it rains and you see a rainbow, that'll serve as a reminder to you that I will never flood the earth. Because how you think look, just imagine it. It just flooded. You live in this crowded world. There's so many people, right? One day, Most High God say, build this ark. Noah started building an ark. I don't know what my pops is building this ark. Your girlfriend asked, she like, you know what I'm saying, what's your daddy building that ark? I don't know. He said, she told me to help him. I'm just helping him out. Then all of a sudden, it started raining. Right? You get in the ark. You get off of this ark, and everybody's gone. There's nobody left. Everybody is gone. All you know is it rained and everybody gone. The next time it sprinkles outside, how you gonna feel?
Oh no.
We're the ark. Is the ark still here? You gonna freak out. So the Most High God said, you know what? Listen. I'm gonna put the bow up there. I know y'all gonna have a little PTSD for a while. I'm gonna put the bow up there to remind y'all I ain't gonna do that no more. That's not gonna happen no more.
And then you got these sick people.
Yeah, these people out here, they always twisting what the Most High God gave. But you look at the rainbow, that was supposed to give us calm. Even to this day, that's why you see it and you kind of get stuck a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because it's supposed to give you calm, right? It's supposed to be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's over. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, the rainbow don't pop up in the midst of the storm, right? It's right when it's over. To remind you, I told you I wasn't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Why you tripping? You know what I'm saying? I told you I wasn't going to, I wasn't going to do y'all like that no more.
It's like you see that thing in the sprinklers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that too, because you never know. PTSD, it's passed down. You know what I'm saying? You start freaking out when you see the sprinkler. Today, you know what I'm saying, my mama's sprinkler, that thing was busted. So I pulled up on her house. I'm on the phone. I pulled up on the house. That thing it hit my car. So I was like, what in the world? You look at that. I might need a little rainbow in that moment. Like, oh, okay. Let's see about the flood. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
And And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said to Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah. And of them was the whole earth spread.
Right? Everybody who is here today came from, we always like to say we came from Adam and Eve. That's true. But everybody here today came from either Shem, came from Noah, right? They came from Shem, Japheth, or Ham. Whole world. Right? Keep going. I was looking at some Christians, like, they said the Japanese people directly from Noah. They said Noah kept having babies after that. And that's what it did. That's what it did. The ages came from. I said, these people are crazy.
Funny, I really don't. I still don't know where they came from.
That's crazy.
Like, we know where like the white folks came from, where we came from, and where Africa came from.
It's just funny how when people ain't got no answer, they just come up with make something up.
I never heard that one.
You ain't got no book to prove it. Ain't got nothing. Just books tell you about the genealogy of the world. They don't say nothing about Noah, and they just gonna jump out there with it. That's ain't funny.
It sounds good. Listen, see this.
Keep going. Watch this.
And Noah began to be a husbandman.
Husbandman means that he worked with the vegetation. You know what I'm saying, with the plant. Right? He had a green thumb. Right? Watch this.
And he drank of the wine and was drunk.
Right? So he had a vineyard, which means he had grapes, and of the grapes you can make wine. Right? So he drank of the wine, ended up he drank so much wine he ended up getting drunk. Right? Which is no small task. You know what I'm saying? Cause it ain't like the wine they make nowadays super strong, right? A bunch of alcohol in it. It ain't hard to get drunk off of wine nowadays. You know what I'm saying? That's why when I get wine, I like to get the real light wine. You know what I'm saying? That Stella Rosa, what I like right now. You know what I'm saying? Cause it's like juice, and that's closer to how it was. That's some alcohol in it, of course, right? But it's closer to how it was there, where you gotta down that whole bottle of ants maybe to get drunk. So that's how Noah was, right? Noah dealing with real grapes. You know what I'm saying? He ain't going through this extra alcoholic, you know what I'm saying, like process that they use now. He dealing with real grapes that ferment, and then he drink them. You know what I'm saying? So the alcohol content wouldn't have been all that high, but he drank so much, he enjoyed the juice so much, he ended up being drunk. Then watch this.
And he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside.
Right?
And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness.
That means they walked in backward like this. They took something they both was holding, and they walked in backward just not to look at their father out of honor. Right? Watch this.
And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew that his younger son had done what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brothers. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem.
Right?
And Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.
All right, so Noah lived a really, really long time. Right? But you see there, the Most High God put a curse, not on Ham, because remember, Ham saw his nakedness, and then went back and told their brother. And Noah got up, he said, books say he knew what was done unto him. So it don't give us more details about that, but it just say he knew what was done unto him, and it said that Ham saw his nakedness. So after that, Noah cursed Ham's son. His son's name was Canaan. Now this is going to drive in. We just read before, Moses was talking about the nations that we were taking over, and one of those nations that we read when we first started was the Canaanites. Right? So this is where you'll see that all this starts making sense. That's why it's important that Moses had to include this when he's writing these stories. Because he's trying to let us know, like, listen, this happened so long ago, but it still is related to what we're doing today. And in the same way, things happened so long ago that we're reading about this book, but it's still related to how we live and the decisions that are being made today, right? Keep going. Just to the end of the chapter. Oh, we already ended it? Okay. So yeah, we'll end it there then. And then next week what we'll do is it's going to take us again to the genealogy. So that was just from Genesis chapter 6 to Genesis chapter 9. That was the narrative around Noah and his sons at the end, right? And now we're going to go back into genealogies. It's going to give us the genealogies of all of Noah's sons. And it's going to split up in that genealogy talking about the Tower of Babel, right? So it's almost going to give us the genealogy of Shem twice, you know what I'm saying? But it's going to give us the Tower of Babel. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Tower of Babel next week and kind of have the understanding of, like, how that plays out, why that part is so important to, one, what we see today, and also how things today became developed, and then how we can see Yahuah